Hey, welcome back to Club Junkies What's in the Bag, where we are into kind of testing season. As you know, 2026 products have actually just been hitting. This week, we just had PXG with their new release of the Lightning Woods. So we're indoors. It's like 28 degrees outside. There's a little bit of snow on the ground. I'm not playing outside. Just not going to happen here. Live in Metro Detroit. But there's a ton of indoor options around here that I usually go to throughout the winter when I'm not traveling someplace else. So we're going to go indoors. And sometimes I'll go indoors with some friends, whatever. We'll do some simulation, play a few holes, have some fun. This week, going to go and do some testing for the podcast. If you don't know, I do a podcast. It's under the Club Junkie, and I review clubs on there. So a lot of times I like to get them out on the course and hit them on the range, whatever, have a combination. This time of year, I'm not unfortunately able to do that very much. But I like to go indoors, and there's a place I go to that uses Trackman bays, and I usually go there at least once a week and hit balls and bring different stuff to test to get numbers with, so I can kind of review it still and hit all the stuff. So that's what I'm going to do this week. Go out there, hit some stuff. I got some travel coming up, so I need to get some stuff locked in with some numbers, all that I can talk about on the show. So that's what we're going to do. So this is kind of what I do when I go to the range or the indoor place to hit balls for the podcast. This is what I'm bringing. So it's usually not a full set. It's usually just a bunch of stuff. And we're starting to get into some 2026 stuff that I can't talk about yet as well. That's off camera over here. So that stuff will be heading out also. But this week, I'm going to go and play. So this is, what is it for from last week into this week? So this is for next week's, what's in the bag and podcast and all that. This is what I usually bring for these sessions. So usually it can be between a handful of clubs or a full bag that is absolutely stuffed. It just depends on what's available or what's coming out very shortly. But usually the first thing I bring to start off, we'll start in kind of the weird middle spot. We're not going to start with driver this time. Is a club that I use for kind of getting loose, getting kind of ready. And in the winter, I swing this thing a lot. And it is, I don't use very many training aids. It's like the one I use, which is one of these clubs with a actual training grip on it. So this is one of those like cheap kind of grip right training grips on there. I actually just put this on a random 7-iron, which is actually the Cobra 3D Limited iron that came out earlier, was it last year? They brought this thing out. So this is the actual limited one. They sent a media sample 7-iron to like all the media outlets. So I had it laying around, and I wanted something that I could work on my grip. I tend to get a little strong, and then the hand kind of drops off. So this here actually helps just get me back to where I am, and especially in the winter when I'm, just hitting balls in the net and things like that. I'm not really super worried about how solid it is, but it's a good time for me to work on the grip. So this is the first thing I bring. It's just a 7-iron. It's got a stock KBS Money Taper 120 in it. And this here, I'll swing a bunch of balls just to get loose, and I'll use this just to get the hands right, make sure the grip feels good, and get myself back to where I need to be, because I could tell by the end of this year, the grip started to get kind of, that right hand started to drop off a little bit, especially with like driver and stuff. So I'll get this thing out there. I'll hit a few balls with this just to warm up and groove it. And then I'll a lot of times kind of hit this in between clubs too, just to kind of, again, get the grip back to where it should be, and hit a bunch of balls with this. So this is just, Cobra 3D Limited head, and, that little KBS shaft and this training aid, which I bought like, 2 or 3 of them off Amazon, pretty cheap, but got those there, and that's the first thing I will swing and use in the bay. Now, after that, I will bring, this time, we're going to bring a couple drivers. And a lot of times nowadays, I do bring a handful of drivers because usually there's drivers coming out. So I usually have more than one with me. I usually try to focus on hitting everything with like the same shaft. So this week we're going to rock the brand new PXG Lightning Woods. So these things, super excited. I got to hit these a little bit. I got fit for them out in Scottsdale a few months ago when they first came out. And now I actually have all 3 heads, and excited to go hit them and actually get kind of numbers to kind of compare the two. So switched all the screws out, got the all-fit adapters, all-fit adapter screws in there so I can actually switch out. But yes, we're going to go rock all 3 of the PXG Lightning heads. So this is the Tour Mid, which is kind of the one that didn't exist last year. This is the one that kind of blends distance and forgiveness. It's kind of the middle of the road one, but a good kind of slightly lower spinning yet forgiving head for those players who want a little bit of everything. They don't necessarily want to go full max 10K because maybe that spins too much or launches too high, whatever it is, but they still need, some forgiveness. This thing here is really a good one here, and it's really solid. I think PXG, these are by far the best drivers, best woods they have made ever. And I think this line is going to be kind of a sleeper. It's going to do really well. But 3 movable weights, you can kind of dial it in. This one got the heavyweight back, 2 lightweights forward, a little bit added launch, a little bit more forgiveness. but it's got the full laser etched milling lines on it. But this one here, really good look to it from address. Looks very, actually looks slightly open at address. I like that they laser milled the face because you actually see a little bit more loft. I like seeing that. When I have drivers that look like they don't have any loft, I tend to try to like hit up on them more and try to generate my own loft when I don't need to. But this is 10.5 head. Going to play the all-fit adapter there, and this one will be the Lightning Tour mid, which I'm pretty excited because I only got to hit this a little bit out there. I actually got fit into the max 10K model, which was pretty cool, but this one I didn't hit that much, so excited to hit this one some more and see how it goes, and again, get some numbers on this. So good setup here. We played at 10.5, not going to play anything fancy. This is a really cool, interesting head. So yeah, use this frequency-tuned face, which they're taking the frequencies that are generated at impact and then focusing them on the face, not the sole of the club. So kind of more efficient way to transfer energy into the ball. So pretty interesting there. Love that they have a ton of carbon fiber on the sole, a lot of carbon fiber on the crown, titanium face, just a really good wood setup. So the shaft I'm going to use for all the drivers is going to be the new Graphite Design Tour AD FI. This is 6X, and this is kind of their mid-launch low spin shaft. So a little bit different profile than, say, GC, which is also mid-launch. I find this to be a little bit more boring in terms of the flight on it. I think it's a lower flying version of DI, so a little softer in the handle, a little stiffer in the tip, but really smooth, really good feeling shaft, and it's been pretty popular throughout the summer. So I like this one a lot. We're going to go with the Tour mid first, and then we also have the Lightning Tour. I'm going to hold the screw so it doesn't make noise. And we have the Lightning Max 10K Plus. So got both these drivers here. So we got the 10K here, which is the biggest, most forgiving guy. A little shallower face on it, but big profile, but still built the same way. And the cool thing is for a 10K driver, 3 adjustable weights on this thing, so you can dial it in, adjustable hosel. This thing, yeah, is really cool. This is the one I got fit into, and it's, I mean, for being a 10K driver, it's super long. It doesn't spin a ton. I was kind of amazed at how low spin this was for a 10K head. But really forgiving, still really long, good sound and feel to it. Overall, I think, PXG did a really nice job, and still all the adjustability. So, if you want to make it a little bit more fade bias, cool, move that heavy weight out to the toe. If you want kind of the max forgiveness, push that weight back. So, ton of adjustability there. But we've got that one, the Max 10K, and then also the Tour head, which is going to be the ultra low spin head. And this is going to be the smallest shape. I believe it's still 460 cc's, but definitely much more compact, more traditional shape to it, and the deepest face out of all of them. So really deep face. This thing is a pretty low spin compared to last year's Tour model. They brought the spin up and the launch up a little bit just to make it more playable. They kind of found that a lot of people couldn't get into it because it just didn't launch and spin enough. And now there's people out there who need that, and that's fine. And if you really need to, you can push some heavy weights forward and still make this thing really low launch. But it is actually set up to be a little bit more playable, a little bit more friendly, as it is just kind of stock out of the box. And of course, with the 3 movable weights on it, you can push some heavy weight back and make it a little bit more forgiving, a little bit higher spinning, and again, make it a little bit more playable. So a lot of options between the 3 heads, a little bit of overlap between them. So you're going to be able to find a way to fit you into one of these heads really easily. But again, I think what they've done with the face technology, all that, the sound and feel on them is really good. They've kind of muted them a little bit since last year's Black Ops. But the distance on these things seemed to be really good. When I got to hit them out at Scottsdale, I was really impressed seeing the ball speeds that I saw and seeing the launch and spin and all that. They just performed really well. So excited to hit these some more and finally take some numbers and compare all 3. Because I know they're going to be slightly different, but it's always fun to see which one. Because sometimes throughout every year, there's always that one driver that should be low spin, whatever, and it spins a little bit more than everything else or whatever. And I remember, I think it was last year, I think one of the Elites, the Elite X or something like that, actually spun lower than the standard one or whatever. But it's always fun to see. So going to test these things out, see what kind of numbers I get on them. But I like these things a lot. I think PXG did a really nice job with this line of woods. And I think a lot of people are going to be impressed with what they're doing with them. So that is for drivers. Yes, I'm running 3 drivers, and I just bring their heads. I'm going to slap shafts. I sometimes throw a shaft on every one just so they're in the bag and they're easier to get to, but I'm just going to use the FI to hit them all. So those are drivers, and then we move to 3-wood, and 3-wood, we're going to bust out the PXG, the Lightning. Yes, we're going to do a new one, but this is the Tour. So kind of a new model from them. This is the Tour one. It's a little bit more of a compact head, a little bit more, again, traditional shape. They went away from the square kind of face on this. If you look at the normal Lightning fairway woods, they've got kind of a squarer toe, and that's to actually make them more forgiving. It moves a little bit more mass out there, it kind of pushes more mass to the perimeter, makes the face a little bit bigger, so the sweet spot's a little bit wider. This is the Tour one, meant to be a little bit lower spinning, a little bit flatter trajectory, It does still have 2 movable weights on the sole, so you can, again, move that heavy weight forward, make it a real low spin, kind of low launch, penetrating monster, and then you can move the weight back, make it higher flight, add a little bit of spin, make it a little bit more playable, and then, of course, move the adjustable hosel on it as well. So it's a 15-degree head in the Tour. They make a 15 and an 18. They make a 5-wood in this as well. But I do have the 3-wood. I have actually never hit this. When I was out there getting fit, I got fit into the standard model, and I actually never even hit this one. So I'm really excited to hit it. I love the shape. I mean, the look from address is super classic, really, really good. I definitely feel that the better players are going to look at this thing and really be impressed with it. So a little deeper face on it as well. So we're going to be able to hit it off the tee, hit it off the deck. Should be just really versatile and long club. But I'll probably set it maybe 1 up. I'll go 13, maybe put it in 16, make it launch just a little bit higher. But this thing is really, really excited to hit it and see how it sounds, feels, all that. But I love the look of at address. I'm really hoping that it works out well because just the looks of it, I love to toss this thing in the bag as the gamer. So this one here, we've got a Fujikura Pro 70S Pro Blue. So Fujikura Pro Blue 70 Stiff. In here, this is kind of their mid-launch version of the Pro series. They make a black shaft as well that launches a little bit flatter. This is the more mid-launch, slightly more spin. So I would say this is basically a Ventus Blue with a little bit more spin. So if you hit Ventus Blue and you like how it launches, does everything, it just doesn't quite spin enough to hold the ball in the air, especially in a fairway wood where you sometimes need a little extra spin to keep that ball up in the air. This could be a great option. Super smooth, really good feeling, really accurate. Even though it doesn't have velo core, it's still a really accurate, really good shaft. And it's a little bit cheaper as well, but a really solid option that a lot of people don't realize. So excited to hit these. And the other thing I'm super excited about, which I know isn't a big deal, stock PXG grips, True Temper Icons. So these things are way better than those Z5s that came on PXG clubs. So I'm really excited that these are on. I got them on my full set of PXGs that they fit me for when I was out there. But these grips so much better than those Z5s. It's just kind of a Tour Velvet feel, really tacky, good traction. And they should hold up way better. And I like the firmer rubber. So big upgrade for PXG on that one. Super excited to see them offer something different in the grip. So we're going to bring that 3-wood. And then for irons, we're going to have a few different irons in the bag. And this is just what I do when I go test. So the first thing we're going to bring is a set of irons that I've had for a little bit, but I have yet to hit really on a launch monitor. I've just kind of hit them around, which is the Tour Edge Exotics Forged CB. Forged MB. So I've got both of them. I actually had a combo, them send me a combo set of these. So 4 through 7 iron are the CB, 8 through pitching wedge are the MB, and these things here are kind of an oversized forged iron. So it's a player's iron, but it's not super tiny. Got a slightly wider sole to it. Nice thing about the sole as well is that they basically went and did a little bit of a kind of a rounded leading edge. So they're not super sharp. Should offer a little bit better turf interaction, but the soles aren't crazy narrow. And these things are a little bit bigger. When I held them up, they're pretty much, the CB is almost the same size as the Ping I-240. Top line's a little bit thicker. There's a little bit more meat there, but they've got kind of a cool thing where they've milled out the back pocket, and they've got like kind of an elastomer material inside there to kind of reduce vibration. And then they also take that weight and move it around the head to make it a little bit more playable. So MB is the same thing. Really, there's not a monster difference between the MB and the CB. The cavity on the MB is pretty darn shallow. It's nothing crazy. The MB is just a flat back. So kind of unique setup here, but they are forged. They feel really good. I've hit these a bunch already, in my net and backyard and on the range already. I just haven't hit them to get numbers on them. Feel on them is really soft. They tend to perform really well. So excited to see these with some actual numbers and see what they produce. But these are a cool set. I'll probably bring just the 7/8, maybe a 5, maybe the pitching wedge. I bring usually a couple pieces from each iron. I don't hit the whole iron set in there. I usually bring something long, mid, and short, but since we've got 2 different sets, we'll probably do something like that. But these things are really solid, and Tour Edge did a really nice job of the look on these, nice milling on the back and everything like that. So these are shafted up with the True Temper Dynamic Gold mid 115 stiffs, so pretty solid shaft. I've been playing this shaft a lot, as you guys have probably seen in all my What's in the Bag videos. These have been in a lot of sets of irons, and it's just something I don't hit the ball super high, so having something like this shaft in there, it's a little bit lighter weight at 115 grams, but it also launches the ball a little bit higher, lands softer on the green, holds the green a little bit better, just adds a little bit more control, and yeah, they still feel good, and they still hit the ball really accurately. So that'll be one of the sets of irons I'm bringing. And then also in the iron category, I'm going to bring 2 different 7 irons, and these are the JP Golf. If you're not familiar with JP Golf, kind of a small company out there making kind of boutique stuff, super high-end wedges. I know I've done a few builds with their wedges and stuff like that, but we have the Camber iron here, which is kind of their larger kind of split cavity back there. And then we have the Prime iron, which is like kind of their muscle back blade in a sense. Very similar in terms of sole width and stuff like that. The Camber is a little bit bigger overall in terms of size compared to the Prime. The Prime is actually a one-piece forged iron. It actually, I thought this was like a cap on the back, just like the wedges. It is not. It's actually just anodized over or colored, maybe PVD, over the actual metal. So pretty interesting. I thought this was going to be a multi-material piece. It is not. They do have some weights out in the toe there, so they can get kind of the CG placement right. Same thing there. And they've got a kind of a cool little camo etching in the back cavity. But these look really good. They really don't have much offset to them when you set them down. Top lines are pretty darn thin. The Prime is very thin on top in terms of the top line. The Camber is a little thicker, but they're not anything too crazy. But these things should feel fantastic. Really excited to see kind of what they do. And again, I thought these were going to be different irons than they were when I saw them just in photos. So very, very cool. They also have the kind of own cool little JP ferrule on there. And yeah, these are just shafted up with KBS Money Taper 120s. I actually had 2 7-irons laying around that I was able to use. Exact same thing. So I pulled them out of 2 other heads that I had that were just 7-irons, and they worked out. They fit in here perfectly. So the black finish on there looks cool, but yeah, Money Taper 120. So these are kind of mid-launch, low-spin shafts, and it should pair up well. I've hit these a bunch, but these are just cool-looking irons, and excited to kind of review these for the show because I'm excited to hit these. But both just 7-irons, so they should be kind of apples-to-apples comparison to be able to kind of look at the two and see how they perform. So I'll have all those irons in the bag. And then for wedges, I usually only bring like 1 or 2 wedges because it's more of like a warm-up thing to hit. And right now I don't have any wedges that are something new that I need to kind of like review for the show or whatever. So I'll probably just bring this Callaway Opus SP 5210S in the black finish. This will just be something to just go hit there. I played this on course. I think the Opus SP is a huge upgrade over the Opus. I think the shaping's a little bit better, a little bit more compact, but I think the feel and sound is way, way better than the Opus. Opus to me was very firm, kind of clicky. These have definitely a softer feel to them, definitely a better sound. And yeah, Callaway with everyone is kind of, you know, out up the grind options. Now in the 52, there's not a ton of options. I think it's just one, the 10S. They may make a wide sole version, but you're just pretty much limited in the 52. But when you get into the 54, 56, 58, 60s, they do have a lot of different sole options. But their wedges here are really, really good. And these things spin the ball really well. So I think even on tour, we're seeing a big tour adoption moving into the SP from the original Opus. And yeah, it's a big change there. I think they did a nice job. So this one's shafted up with just a True Temper Dynamic Gold S200. So a little bit lighter than the S300, a little bit lighter weight, same kind of, you know, mid-low trajectory. Still has some spin to it, but an overall pretty classic shaft there, nothing too fancy. And the lighter weight is pretty traditional. Anybody who's got a stock shaft that just says Wedge or whatever is pretty much an S200. So a little bit lighter than the S300 by a few grams. But a good setup here, and I'll use this just to kind of, you know, warm up and, you know, maybe in between clubs, hit a few shots with this to kind of reset yourself or whatnot. But that'll be a wedge. And then for putter, the place I go to does have a little putting green. Nothing crazy, but I'll hit some putts because why not? The putting green there, and I'm going to rock with the new Bettinardi Antidote. And this is going to be the SB5. So the SB5, I gotta make sure it's the 5, is kind of this, you know, half moon mallet. Looks really cool. I think super classic design. Yes, it is 0 torque, so when you hold it and you don't touch anything, the face points straight up in the air, the toe points straight up in the air. Base of the whole theory, keep the face square to the target, so as you putt, you don't have to worry about the face. You're getting the face open to, you know, back to square. It just takes one aspect of putting out of it. So all milled, all, you know, 303 stainless, the back and the front. It is a 2-piece design, but kind of unique little hosel they kind of just milled in there. Shaft goes in. And yeah, 303 stainless back, front, and they've got of course the fit face from Bettinardi on the face of this thing. So horizontal lines milled in, gives it a little soft feel, but super responsive, really good feel. And I think for more traditional players who don't love the shape of some of these crazy 0 torque mallets and stuff like that, this is a little bit more traditional in terms of its shape and its look. It's just a little bit easier on the eyes compared to some others, and it offers a good classic feel. But Bettinardi did a really nice job with this. I think they did a great job. I've liked it so far. I've putted a good amount with it around. And yeah, it's just a solid 0 torque option for players looking for something a little bit more traditional. Just stock steel shaft and a lambkin deep etch grip on here. So I love this grip. It's a great feel. It just fits in the hands well. It's, you know, a little bit more rounded at the bottom, fits in the pads of the hand well on there. Nice flat top where the thumbs sit. It's just a comfortable grip, and I think that, you know, deep etch in there gives a little bit of traction even on like a, you know, hot day. You can still don't have to worry about sweat or anything like that. It's still comfortable. So this will be putter as well, and I'll hit a few putts just to putt around because I'm there, and why not? But that is the what's in the bag for testing time out here in for the Club Junkie. So that is my bag. We'll test out some stuff, and when you want to hear about it, I'll definitely be doing some stuff on the podcast. So check out Club Junkie podcast. I'll talk about this stuff, review it, and we'll check back next week where we'll jump in. I'll give you a little breakdown on what went well here, and then we'll jump into the next bag of testing stuff, which, well, I don't know how much I'll be able to share because there's a big box of stuff that I can't talk about yet. I don't think I can talk about till January. Some other stuff over there I can't really talk about till January. But I do have some shafts that are, you know, tips-wise are drying right now. So those will be ready, and I'll be able to hit those. But, yeah, we'll jump into the next thing next week. So we'll see you then.